so much for joining us here at the McAllen Mayoral Policy Forum. I'm Kennedy LaFay with the Libre Initiative, and I'm joined on stage with all of your candidates for the next mayor of McAllen here at this McAllen race for the mayor. Don't forget, early voting does end next Tuesday, and I'm also joined on stage with George Martinez. He's also with the Libre Initiative. We are a nonpartisan, nonprofit organization with a goal aimed at helping you guys get to know who your next candidate could be and who your next representative will be. George?
Thank you, Kennedy. As Kennedy mentioned, my name is George Martinez. I'm the Texas Coalitions Director for the Libre Initiative. Before today's event, we did send out a speaker guidance to the candidates here to go over some of the rules. And I'm going to mention for you all here, so you know, everyone will be able to answer every question. Everyone has 1 minute. When you hear this sound, that means your time has expired. And also, everyone will have the opportunity to go first. And with that said, we'll go ahead and get this started.
Want to introduce the candidates?
To our left, we have Michael Fallick.
Good afternoon. Thanks for having us.
Thank you. We have Javier Villalobos.
Good afternoon.
Otho Brand Jr.
Mike Check.
Veronica Bella-Whitaker.
Thank you for having us here.
Thank you. And Dr. Shahed Rashid.
Thank you very much for having us here.
And thank you guys again for taking some time out of your busy day to join us. Again, this is at the New Life Family Church here in Olana, and we encourage you guys to stop by and visit. We're the Libre Initiative, and let's start this off with Michael. First question for you. We all know that immigration is a federal issue, and we know this impacts our entire region. What should the city be doing to make sure our residents are safe while we deal with the current surge at the border?
Yeah, so this is an important issue, right? We're all dealing with this here. It's made national attention. The city needs to be making sure that it is coordinating with our federal partners to handle the issue as it moves, as it evolves through the process. We need to do three main things. First, we need to make sure that as the immigrant and asylum-seeking population moves into our country, that there is COVID testing going on and background checks. The second thing, we need to ensure that the federal government has an actual plan to move these people through the process and outside of our city. We don't have control of them coming in, but we need to make sure and push our federal partners hard enough to be sure that they are moving outside of our city and aren't clogging up and inundating our society. We need to protect our citizens, our city. And then third, we need to make sure that any costs that the city is expending, that we are being reimbursed for those costs.
Same question goes to you, Javier.
Well, actually, this is a very easy one. I pretty much agree with that, except what we're doing right now is exactly what we should be doing, limiting our expenses when it comes to immigration. Because you're right, it is not a municipal issue. It's a federal government issue. So what have we been doing is limiting ourselves as much as possible. We assist with the logistics of bringing them, not bringing them, but they're dropped off, and we assist in transporting them to the respite center, and that is about it. And that's all we should do, and that is it. Our taxpayers are not for the purposes of assisting immigration, legal or illegal. It's not. So we need to protect them and protect our taxpayers' money, and we have been doing it, and I think we've been doing a pretty good job.
If at any time you guys need me to repeat the question, by all means, I'm happy to do so. Otho, same question to you.
Well, now that you let Michael go first, and we're all pretty practiced at this for several weeks now, there's not a thing I can disagree with what either one of them has said, except for I will take exception. You know, when you're talking about your family, or much less your community, and you're a public official who's been elected by that body, I'm going to spend whatever I have to spend. I'll go chase the government down later. But in order to deal with the issue as it is right now, you know, I've said, you know, we need to treat these people in a humanitarian way, and we all agree with that. I don't mean raise them. I don't mean give them a home and all that. I said, but give them the necessities they need right now. None of them want to stay here. They want to move on. We know that. So help them move on. Right now, you know, I will tell you that at this moment, I get a lot of phone calls, I hope some of the others do too, that downtown is still a problem next to the Respite Center. The people meandering out throughout the downtown area and not feeling safe. Those things need to be addressed. They don't need to be pointing the finger and saying, it's your fault, you take care of it, you pay for it. We just need to take care of it, and then we go back to the government and talk to them about it. That I would say on top of everything that the other two have said. Thank you.
Ms. Whitaker?
Thank you very much. Appreciate the opportunity. For the last 5 years, McAllen did take the brunt of the cost for the Respite Center, for the immigration system, and in everything involved in that. And we will reimburse probably maybe only 2 out of those 5 years. So McAllen did give in, and we did our due diligence by helping these immigrations, by helping everybody, not only them, but everybody else around them. We had a lot of the medical community, a lot of the social workers, a lot of people that were within the city of McAllen that gave of their time to help. We didn't understand, I guess, at the beginning when we said, okay, let's help, that it was going to get to the size of families and the amount of people that were crossing. And so it did get to be very, very difficult. But I will say that our community came through. Every single day there was diapers being dropped off, clothes being dropped off, medical equipment being dropped off, Band-Aids, tennis shoes, everything you can imagine for these individuals. And so I do want to say thank you to our community, to McAllen, because they did help. They didn't just, turn their backs. They did help. And now hopefully the government understands. They are helping us now. They are paying for it. And so we are just their drive-through, and we just have to cooperate with them.
And Dr. Rashid, same question.
Thank you. What makes us a great nation on this face of earth is that we are the nation of laws, we are the champions of human rights, and we are the beacon of democracy, and we are a land of immigrants. But it does not mean that we will allow the people to breach our laws and breach our borders. We cannot let our city be a sanctuary city. We will do everything. Whoever comes inside our border, it has to be through the legal process. And not only this thing, that we have to make sure that we will treat them with compassion, generosity, thoughtfulness, and great care, because that's what we believe in. These are our values, and we must uphold those. And we are going to reach the federal government and the state government as a region to ask them to provide us with the logistics and the financial assistance to take care of these matters, because we are the stakeholder in this matter.
Thank you. All right, now moving on to the next question. We're going to start with Mr. Villalobos. This isn't the first surge, and it probably won't be the last. What should McAllen do to prepare for any future flows of unaccompanied minors?
Well, actually, once again, the question is pretty much similar. This is a federal issue, whatever. However, we do have to make sure that we keep on talking to the ones that are responsible, and we have been. Veronica and I are part of our international bridges. I'm part of BTA. We keep on constantly calling our representatives, our senators, all the way to the president through the BTA organization, that look, this has to stop. Because the issue is not going to be solved here. We have no authority. If y'all remember a few weeks ago, even Governor Abbott tried to send some people into the camps to look as far as human trafficking. The governor of Texas, and what happened? He couldn't get involved. So imagine us as a mayor or as a city commissioner. I'd be a fool to say, look, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. We can't. The best we can do is what we're doing right now, making sure that our people are safe and that the immigrants, legal or not, when they're being transported, are safe too.
Mr. Brennan.
Let me just ask you, you said unaccompanied minors.
Yes.
Unaccompanied minors is not an issue for us at all. All unaccompanied minors go to ORR. They are not released into the community ever until they've processed. They are held for probably 45 days, and relatives are found, and the government transports them on plane, car, bus, whatever, with an adult supervision to a family member somewhere in the United States of America. So that unaccompanied minors are not, they're not an issue for us at all, because they are never turned loose into our community. So I'm not sure that's what you wanted to ask, but that is the right answer.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Whitaker?
While I tend to agree with you, Mr. Brand, I do still feel for the children, not only because they're separated from their parents, and that's very, very difficult. Several times you'll see a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old, and they're being escorted by their 10-year-old brother or sister. And so then they're put in these areas where, they're just in a, I'm not going to say caged, but they're in, facilities that just, maybe, they're just not the happiest place to be in. But, you've got to feel for them. You've got to understand how they feel. You've got to know that they're scared. So the faster we can take care of them, if it's taking 45 days, maybe we can reduce that down to 15 days or even 10 days. But whatever we can do, I'm sure that if they were in the, hands of the city of McAllen or anybody else, that we would help them out and we would do right by those children, because it's very scary for them, and I think that we are compassionate for those children, even though they're people. And so we have to take care of them as best as we can, and we are trying.
Thank you. Dr. Rashid?
It is very strange to see that, both of the commissioners, they're in the office for the last 4 to 8 years, and they are so helpless to address this problem. This is not a new problem. This issue has been going on for years, and they were the one who in the office that they could have made the policies and procedures, and they could be able to address the situation. The situation has to be addressed in a very simple way. It's not a rocket science. That we have to act proactively, not like reacting to the situation. That, as I stated earlier, that it is not the problem of McAllen, it is the regional problem. And it'll keep on happening. So we have to have as a region, we need to approach the federal government, and we need to be the part of the policy makers, and we need to talk to them that we need to be given all those resources if you want your policy to be effective. And that's what we can do that. And this is how I'm going to approach that. We are going to have all the mayors in this Rio Grande Valley, and we are going to go with a united voice and as a council to approach the government and solve this problem.
I do want to remind the folks that there will be no rebuttals, so you can respond to the next question if you'd like. Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Falk.
Yeah, so most of us are saying the same thing here. This isn't an actual issue that the city of McAllen can affect. We cannot make the policy, regardless of anything that was said here. We cannot make the federal policy. But we can understand what is going on in these kids' lives. I think we all understand that we want what's best for our family. I can't even imagine being in a situation bad enough to put my kids on the road into another country. But we ought to be, as a community here, we ought to act with compassion, with care, with empathy, and all that we can do is try to set a framework, an environment to cooperate with the federal government to push them, because ultimately it is the federal government that has to address this problem. It's gone on for so many administrations. We have to be in the position to engage the federal government to set up facilities, to set up a process that is more efficient, that is more caring, that is more empathetic, and that takes care of these kids in a faster, quicker, better way, moves them out of our city into their ultimate destination. As a community, we need to care for them as best we can while they're here, and then make sure the federal government is moving them along to where they need to be.
This next question starts with Mr. Brand. We recently had a delegation of U.S. senators come to visit the border to get a first-hand look at what is going on here. During the roundtable lunch, it was discussed that our area depends on shoppers that come from Mexico to help with our sales tax revenue. What is your position on whether we should open travel to and from Mexico to help our local economy?
If I said anything other than open it up, I think there'd be a riot. But all of us up here agree that it makes absolutely no sense that the government is allowing illegals to come across, but will not open up the bridges to allow those that are legal. And I know an awful lot of us agree with that. There's no difference amongst any of us. It is a federal problem. It is a federal problem, again, that affects us economically. That should not. Does Mexico want it opened up? Absolutely. Do we want it opened up? Absolutely. Why isn't it happening? I think most of us would say, if any of us were elected, we're going to go get in their face about this and say, together or whatever, this needs to be addressed. It is absolutely anti-American, period. Does that answer the question?
Yeah. Ms. Whitaker?
All right, I have two responses to that. The first response is that we now have a solution. It might not be the best solution, but we do have a solution, and that is Idle March starts tomorrow with round-trip trips from Monterrey to McAllen, McAllen to Monterrey. So at least some of those who are able to, and it's an affordable price, to be able to travel by flight, then that is an answer for those. The second thing that I have to say is that during this pandemic in the last 13 months, McAllen actually survived, and we survived economically. We did very, very well, and we actually, our own community stayed in McAllen, shopped in McAllen, ate in McAllen, and really made a difference. All the HEBs, everybody that was in the city of McAllen, we actually did very well because our own community supported our own community. And I'm not saying that we don't need them, because we do, but we have to be cautious before we just open up the bridge. And yes, I do want the bridge open, and I do want them tested before they get here. But we're very blessed that McAllen took care of McAllen.
Dr. Rashid?
Respectfully, that I will disagree that we didn't, in this pandemic, yes, we were hit economically very bad. We lost revenues, we had to adjust our budget, and we didn't do well. We only did well because we had the stimulus money. Right now, what the situation we have at the border, that we need to quickly, as soon as possible, is that we need to open up a safe manner, and what we should do is that first, that we can make a policy that whoever is coming from the Mexico to the U.S. side, they have to have a proof of vaccination, and number two, or they have a negative COVID test, so that in order to make sure that whoever is coming into the U.S., that our population is safe. And for that matter, that we have to approach the government and give them our suggestions, so that we should be able to, because our economy is based on the Mexican trade, and so we cannot afford to keep these bridges closed for too long.
Thank you. Mr. Fallick?
We're so far past the time that the bridges should have already been opened. At 2, 3, 4 months, I don't know what exactly the right time was, but it is well past. So much of our economy is tied to the cross-border traffic. We have families on this side that have families across. The same way there's people in Mexico that have families over here. We have so much business downtown and otherwise in our community that is dependent on those crossing the border by car, either from Reynosa or Matamoros or Monterey, wherever the case may be, that so much of the businesses formed in McAllen are local small businesses, but also businesses from out of town that moved into our market that is dependent on that trade. We need to make sure that we get those bridges open as quickly as possible. We need to communicate that message to the federal government up in Washington. They don't understand, I think, what is necessarily happening here. We need to communicate that message as quickly as we can.
Mr. Villalobos?
Again, the answer is yes, open up the bridges. It's that simple. It's about time. But one of the things we did learn, which is amazing, is that I disagree with Dr. Rashid. McAllen is doing excellent. We have been. Our economy has, the region itself has survived beautifully. Our sales tax dollars are up. Now, what has affected us is some other issues with COVID that we were able to subsidize with the CARE money, and that really helped us. Otherwise, we would have been flipped up a little bit. But as far as the economy, otherwise, excellent. Budget-wise, thanks to the CARES Act, we were able to take care of everything, and then put in millions of dollars into infrastructure, millions of dollars into small businesses, and those type of matters. We are doing great. We really are. There's going to be an infusion of $42 million, and of course, what's affecting us the most is what? This question, the bridges. Hidalgo's losing, Anzalduas is losing. Hidalgo is always subsidizing Anzalduas, so we need to open them now.
Okay, Ms. Whitaker, we're going to start with you. If you become mayor, would there be any current city ordinances that you would consider getting rid of in order to improve our local economy?
Well, I do sit on the ordinance committee, so for the last 3 years, and some of those ordinances have not been visited since 1979. So slowly we have taken that task in the last 3 years that I've been on the committee, because we do need to catch up, we need to redo, we need to fix some of them, a lot of them, and so, because our times have changed, our times have changed. And so we do need to revisit, and we need to reevaluate a lot of our ordinances, and we need to make sure that they are into what is going on today, what we're doing today, what permits and what operations we're doing. Everything that we're revisiting today needs to also be, it needs to be updated. So 100% I agree that the ordinances need to be updated and revisited.
Dr. Rashid?
Just to state that it is a state of denial and it's a state of disconnect that to say that we are doing great. With an unemployment of 14%, poverty of 26%, and the brain drain, along with that, we have the per capita income, which is half in the national average, and we claim that we are doing great. I think that this is something which beyond my understanding that how one could say that. As far as the ordinances are concerned, yes, we will sit down and we have to revisit all the ordinances and we have to reprioritize that according to the situation, and whatever is needed to be deleted or amended, we will do that together.
Thank you, Mr. Falk.
Yeah, I think there's three ideas that I'd like to touch on. First, we need to ensure that there's a fair application in enforcement of ordinances. You hear sometimes that a certain population gets different treatment than other population in our city. We need to make sure it's fairly applied. Secondly, it is the mindset. We need the code of ordinances there to have a certain effect. Now, there may be a letter of the law issued, but if items are being enforced such that the letter of the law is being applied, but ignoring what the intent is, we need to look at what those are. We need to make sure that what we're trying to do is allow businesses to succeed and apply the ordinances in a fair manner to allow them to succeed. And then the third thing is the development process needs to be updated a little bit. It is taking too long for new developments to work their way through the system. We need to understand that development process, make tweaks to it, have liaisons either in both in residential and commercial development to allow developers to move their developments through the process and into fruition.
Thank you, Mr. Villalobos.
Okay, let me just real quickly, poverty, unemployment, health, all those issues that we're talking about, those are non-municipal issues. You take care of that, for example, health, poverty, everything, that's the federal government, that's the state government, and some of it is county. Municipal, we deal with water, sewer, streets, public safety, parks, those type of matters, not these matters. So I disagree with that. McAllen is doing fantastic. The city of McAllen is doing great. Now, as far as the ordinance says, look, that's going to be changing yearly. Every time the legislature meets, they change stuff, and guess what happens? So we need to come change stuff. But all that is okay, because we deal with it. We have an excellent legal department. We do. So we take care of that. One of the issues, and I think Mike addressed, is the development office. We need to expedite things whenever somebody's trying to develop. You know, I always say if a developer is developing something, the sooner we get it done, it gets into the tax base, it starts generating taxes, income for the city so that we can provide our services. The people want to make sure they finish it fast so that they don't pay interest anymore. The only ones that benefit are the banks.
Thank you, Mr. Brand.
Oh, man, we've been talking about so much. What's the question?
If you become mayor, would there be any current city ordinances that you would consider getting rid of in order to improve our local economy?
Well, I will tell you, just this afternoon, talked to two developers that both want to do business in McAllen but won't because of the regulations and the time frame it takes. This topic that question you ask now, we've been listening to this question for over 16 years. 16 years in other elections. This very same question has been coming up, and it's been an issue. Now, you know what? It's not crippled us, but we have lost opportunities to other cities that are not as difficult to deal with for a developer. And so, yes, I would say, I had a lady call me the other day, said, why do I have to pay $70 to replace my water heater? I got to get a permit from the city for that? These are the kind of things that need to be reviewed. You know, a lot of times we feel like it's just another way to raise revenue for the city. And that's how a lot of citizens feel about it. But it is over-regulation. We do have over-regulation in the city of McAllen. No one denies that. And so it needs to be fixed. And if you want to go look at the book, I don't know how many inches thick it is, just to understand what all of them are. You never get there. Thank you.
Very fitting. The next question goes to you first. Dr. Rashid, the healthcare crisis has devastated many local businesses. Now that COVID seems to be winding down, what is the role of the mayor in overseeing a public health crisis?
First and foremost is that right now, our top priority is to make sure that we get our city as quickly as possible vaccinated, and so that we could be able to start our way of life the way we used to be. Our biggest issue is that this poverty and unemployment has caused the obesity, the diabetes, the heart diseases, the neurological conditions, as well as depression, and all these things has to be addressed by making a public health task force that is going to have the experts from all the disciplines, that we could be able to make a policy that we could encourage our citizens for a healthy lifestyle. We are going to encourage all those industries and all the food chains. So if they provide us the healthy the food and choices to our citizens, we are going to incentivize. And also we are going to have engaged our media and public the avenues so that we could be able to promote the healthy lifestyle. So that's the way we have to address our public health issues.
Mr. Fallick?
The goal of the mayor's office and city government is to set the right framework, to lay the foundation for future success. We absolutely need to listen to the science, we need to abide CDC guidelines, but we also need to push forward to allow our businesses to reopen, to push and collaborate with the schools to get those systems open so that our kids can get back into school, that can get back up to speed with the learning that needs to go on, that is such the basis for future success in each of our kids' lives, to allow our parents to get back to their normal lives, to get back to work, knowing that their kids are going to be taken care of. We need to address the health concerns, but we also need to address our economy as a whole and the social fabric of our society. We need to set the framework, set the parameters to allow, to the extent that absolutely possible, we can allow our society and social framework and business environment to move back into normality.
Mr. Villalobos?
Hopefully, I think you realize that I don't give you fluff, I don't sugarcoat things. The mayor's role is very limited when it comes to, for example, this public health crisis. Look what Jim Darling could do. Not much. Okay, so what happens? The governor does his emergency order, allows the county to do an emergency order. Through the county, we're allowed to do some, and we're limited. That's about it. So what can we do? We can do exactly what we're doing right now, assisting logistically the county, the health authorities in vaccinating and doing those type of things. But look, you go to our budget for this past year, the past 50 years, let's see how much you find in for public health. I can tell you how much. Zero. The city of McAllen or any other city here in Texas does not deal with that.
Mr. Brand?
Well, Javi, refresh my memory, because with the hospital district, didn't the city of McAllen help out the school and the hospital community and give them millions of dollars?
We don't have a hospital district.
I know, but didn't we give money for medical school in Edinburgh? I believe we did.
I think what Mr. Brown's talking is about an interlocal agreement, where kind of like Mike is talking about, where governments assist each other. We have entities, we have agreements with the county, with the schools, with UTRGV, with South Texas, with A&M. We do a lot of that.
Okay, that's enough. That's my minute. But I will tell you, I just want to, I want you to give good information. But we've not been through a pandemic. There's not a person in here who's ever been through a pandemic in their life. Last one they told us was 1918. And I think everybody, there wasn't anybody that had all the answers on how to deal with it. We were all stumbling through for the first time. And I think the state tried to do something, the feds tried to do something, the county tried to do something, the city tried to do something. One said they had authority, the other one said they didn't. It was chaos, literal chaos. And I think they're as long as we take the attitude we're going to do the best we can for our community, I think we will always work that out in one way or the other.
Ms. Whitaker?
Okay, so most of anyway. We did have our hands tied. Every time that we asked for something, every time that we tried to regulate something for our own community, our hands were tied. And I spoke daily to our city manager, and my city manager would say, well, it's up to the county judge. I called the county judge, and the county judge said it's up to our governor. And so all of our regulations, all of the different ordinances and everything else that was placed during our pandemic was issued to us through the governor. And so it was very difficult for us to have an opinion. It was very difficult for us to make decisions. Now that we make decisions and probably just say, if y'all would like to, we would like, we would appreciate it if you did. These are the things that we have in place if you want to follow them, but they're not guidelines by the state. And so we did a lot of those types of regulations and restrictions, but we couldn't enforce them because they weren't really, we could not, according to the governor. So we did the best as we could during this pandemic, and I think we did well. And, we had hiccups. I'm not going to say we didn't. So.
Thank you. This question is for Mr. Fallick. This pandemic has affected all of us in one way or another. When it comes to the economy, many lost their incomes, and many families had to find a way to reduce their monthly expenses to survive. What is your position on how you would manage the city's budget and taxing citizens?
So the first thing that we need to really focus on is the Rescue Act of 2021 that the federal government passed. The city of McAllen has $42.6 million coming in. McAllen ISD has $107 million. And the Hidalgo County has $212 million. We need to formulate a plan to utilize those funds. It is a once-in-a-generation opportunity to transform our society, to provide the help that we need to give to our citizens, to our small businesses. That is the very first thing that we need to do, including collaborating with our school district, cooperating with our county partners to make sure that we're not duplicating expenses, but that we are leveraging all the various monies to greatest effect. We have a once-in-a-generation opportunity to make a difference in people's lives. We need to support our local small business community. We need to provide some affordable housing. We need to help with housing assistance. We need to make sure that food insecurity issues are addressed for those in our community that are in need. This is the time to set a plan in action. We have a limited amount of time to do so, and we must.
Thank you. Mr. Villalobos?
Can you repeat the question just to make sure?
Yeah, just the question itself. What is your position on how you would manage the city's budget and taxing citizens?
Okay, I think we do something pretty similar to what we did this past year. We made sure, first of all, like this past year, we made sure that we stopped whatever we couldn't wait on, so that we didn't have to increase our taxation on the people at all, and we didn't. So once, hopefully, everything passes, I'm kind of similar to his thinking. You know what, we got to help out. Definitely, last time we helped with Wi-Fi big time, and we got to do it again. Small businesses, a lot of them went down. We got to help out as much as possible. We put in several million this last time. I think we need to put in a lot more. But we got to be careful, because remember, sometimes people think you can just help out. You can't. You're limited statutorily and by the Texas Constitution. You cannot just give away something of value. You can't, even if you want to. So a lot of the times we help out through nonprofits. We need to take care of that. For example, maybe assist our housing authorities or different organizations. But directly, we cannot help anybody.
Mr. Brand?
Well, I'd beg to differ. The 20-something million, I believe it was, they got the first time around, about less than $2 million of that went to the private sector. The rest of it was consumed by the city. Now, the $42 million, I've already heard some of my opponents up here say how great the city is doing and how everything's going really well, but we're going to need that $42 million to finish out a few projects, or else we're not going to make budget. Well, you can't have it both ways. It's either one or the other. Myself, I believe that the city has been the least impacted on their budget of anyone compared to the private sector. And that whole $42 million needs to go into the private sector for those that have lost 50%, 80%, or lost their whole business. By comparison to anything, a city with a $427 million budget, the largest budget in the county, more than the counties, should be able to survive a small hit that they've had in the overall plan of things. The CARE Act, he's mentioned several times, has assisted in offsetting those costs. But that, and also if they could just get the appraisal district to freeze their increases. Since the city says they're not doing a tax increase, they don't need one because the appraisal district's doing it for them every year.
Thank you. Ms. Whitaker?
I'm going to bullet point a lot of what we did this past year. So we did receive the monies. We did receive $18.6 million, but it was adjusted through the county. We did not receive it all in one bulk. We received it in just portions, and so it was difficult for what we did. So we did manage it. The second thing we did is, the first thing I said to do was at least amend the budget. If we're not going to use some of those monies in the budget, then let's move them. Let's allocate them to other areas so that others can get, we can use it for our city. The third thing that we did is the McAllen Chamber of Commerce gave away grants for those small businesses that were struggling. And we're on our third round to do grants for small businesses. So we made efforts to help our community. The McAllen Public Utility Board disregarded their bills for at least 2 to 3 months so that they didn't have to pay through their water bill, because we knew that they were struggling. So the city did step up to what they needed to do to help the citizens of McAllen. The school district did step up and fed the children and the families every single day throughout the entire pandemic, and it was drive-by. So, we did as a team work together and try to do what was best for our city.
Thank you, Dr. Rashid.
Well, first and foremost is that the mayor's offices, it is not that everything which is written that has to be done that way. Mayor is an influencer. They could be able to do a lot of things which are not written in the books. And as far as this pandemic is concerned, it was a very simple thing that could have been done. And they could have simply 3 things: the face mask, the social distancing, and the hand washing. These are the 3 very simple things which any country could have survived through this pandemic, and that has happened in Taiwan. They only lost 8 lives, and what they have done, they only distributed the mask, the face mask to the public, and they enforced the policies in a very strict fashion. And as far as to say that the city's responsibility is to have the water, sewage, and the roads, just look at that. Why do you have a budget of like a 2% in the health budget? The 2% is the health budget, and which is 2.5% less than the last year. And it means that we have some responsibility towards the health. And that is, especially during this pandemic, it is very unfortunate to see that why it has been cut down 2.5%. And as far as just to briefly that how we could be able to help, that this is the time that we have to be physically conservative in our spending. We are going to cut down all those unnecessary expenditures. We are going to reprioritize our objectives, and we are going to revisit our budget to see that how we could be able to go through this difficult time.
Next question is for you, Mr. Javier. McAllen has one of the lowest property tax rates in the county. As mayor, what factors are important when considering whether or not McAllen should increase property taxes?
Well, you're welcome. Actually, let me quickly respond to something that Mr. Brown said. $42 million given to the private sector. I just informed you a couple of minutes ago that it's illegal without legal authority, statutorily and constitutionally, to just give away to the private sector. You can't. And if you did, first of all, I've said it before, you got to take care of the budget first. Make sure the budget is leveled off like we did this last time. Once you do that, then let's do the rest. Because if you don't, what's going to happen? Exactly that, taxes, they're going to be going up. And not just the private, the businesses are going to be paying. Every single person, whether you have a business or not, is going to pay. So you got to be very careful when you talk about giving away money. Nobody gives away taxpayer money. Nobody should. As far as that, yes, it is one of the lowest, and it's one of the lowest because we are careful at what we do. We make sure, like we did this last time, that every penny we could save, we did. Projects that could wait a little bit, we stopped. And it's true, like Owie said, I want to say what he said was true.
Mr. Brand?
No. Go ahead, finish. No. You know how I would just listen to Veronica say that y'all gave money to the Chamber of Commerce, who turned around and gave it out in grants to the private business. So yes, it can be done. It is doable. And it is, I think this pandemic money is totally different than what our responsibility is under the law with taxpayers' money. I think you'll find it be a little bit different. Now, I don't remember the original question now.
The question exactly is, as mayor...
Oh, I already got it.
All right.
Well, I want to tell you what. You don't need to raise taxes. First of all, if I'm elected, I'm the only businessman on the city commission. Full time. Okay, I'll check. I said man. Okay.
Oh, thank you.
All right, that's just this. But you got to remember, there's 2 things that happen all the time. The city of McAllen gets an increase every year in income without even raising taxes. I just got mine raised my home. I just got notice yesterday, my home is getting raised over 20% in my taxes in its value. So that means I'm going to be paying 20% more. Appraisal District silently does this for the city all the time. The other thing is you continue to have, like my opponents have talked about, the continued increase in, is that for me?
Yeah.
Are you sure? Well, anyway, the other one is also all the new construction that goes on, which is new taxes with money without having an increase.
Ms. Whitaker,
Okay.
Repeat the question, because,
for your patience.
oh, no, I've been with them for several weeks now, I'm used to all of them.
As mayor, what factors are important when considering whether or not McAllen should increase property taxes?
Okay, I am a firm believer that the city of McAllen should not increase their taxes, because then my taxes will go up, so, and again, you know, our city has grown. I remember, you know, when I was born and raised here, it was 40,000 as population in the city of McAllen. Today, our population is 150,000. And so all of that, with all that being said, that means that we are getting more monies every single day because more and more people are believing in McAllen, want to live in McAllen, and want to reside here. And so all of their monies are added to what we had, you know, 30, 40 years ago. And so our tax base is strong. So I believe that we need to keep it where we're at. Again, we're one of the third in the state that has the lowest tax rate at this point. And mean in a couple of years we might have to, but right now I think that we need to, with everything that's gone on through the pandemic and people's lives being changed, I think we just need to stay as steady as possible and stay strong.
Dr. Rashid?
Absolutely, there should not be any increase in the taxes. Right now, we are going through the very critical time in the history of our city. And as you have seen that our unemployment, our poverty, and our per capita income, and all those factors are the indicators that we are not in any state that we have to even touch that the taxation at all. And what we have to do is that right now we have to concentrate on our economy. We have to have our own indigenous industry so that we could be able to create more revenue streams and to help the citizen to bring down the poverty and unemployment and to create more opportunities for the youth and our next generation.
Mr. Fallick?
All right, three-part answer. First, this is no time to be increasing taxes coming out of the pandemic. Second, I've created numerous companies, hundreds of jobs here. I know how to budget and stay within a budget. The city ought to be able to be in the same exact position. And then third, what we really need to be focusing on is not only supporting our local small businesses, but recruiting new companies to town so that we can broaden out our tax base. We can increase the capital investment into our city, increase the number of jobs to let everybody here in town find new jobs if need be, make more money through those jobs, be on the forefront of industry, find Tesla, find the next Tesla, be on the forefront of where the economy is moving so that we will never have to have a tax increase because we're bringing so much more money into the city already. We're spreading out that burden. We won't ever have to see a tax increase in our city if we are able to recruit new companies and to successfully bring that new investment into McAllen.
Thank you. All right, we're going to start with Mr. Brand. What is McAllen's biggest asset?
Its biggest asset is his people. You know, you can have all the assets you want in the world, cars, automobiles, whatever it is, in whatever business you are, but if you don't have the right people, it means nothing. You know, I look at towns that are the same size. I look at neighboring cities that are 15, 20,000 population. I look at other cities the same population out in West Texas, and I look at the difference in their economy, and it's amazing. And both of them have an equal opportunity. You know, I'm amazed years ago when I used to listen to my father speak several times about, you know, Brownsville and Harlingen are just beating the pants off of McAllen. Brownsville's got a railroad coming across from Mexico. It's got a port. Harlingen had the biggest airport at the time, and I guess still does, and a port. And McAllen, all we had was the ingenuity of the people that worked here. And, you know, I think our retail folks certainly improved that to the point. We're still the largest retail area in the valley. And financially, we are the largest financial center for the valley.
Thank you. Ms. Whitaker?
I think our biggest asset in the city of McAllen started many, many, many years ago, not just yesterday or 10 years ago, with our leaders, with those who believed in McAllen. As a young girl, I can remember, again, that our population was small, but as we've grown, every person that has been a leader in our city of McAllen has been proud of McAllen. We have, best infrastructure, we have the best stores in the city of McAllen, places to eat, traffic. I mean, we really have a strong community, and people want to live in McAllen. People want to come and live here. They want to come eat here. They shop here. They believe in McAllen. Everybody says, no, vete para McAllen. It's always McAllen. Even our nationals from across the border have always come to McAllen. So those who started McAllen, who led us into the direction where we are today, is because we had strong leadership. We had the best of the best in South Texas. And so I think we are the hub of the Rio Grande Valley. People believe in us, want to be here, want to lead, and want to live here.
Dr. Rashid?
Our biggest asset. Can you hear me? Yeah. Our biggest asset is our youth, our young. We are blessed to have the 60% of our population is the young population, and that's our asset. And we have to invest into the opportunities that how we could be able to give them a future and carve our city into that could be conducive for them to progress, excel, and be the part of this growing city. We have all the opportunities which are available to us, being in a geographical position where we are close to Mexico and we have the hub of the MSA, and this is the human capital that everybody is really wanting to have. So we have to do everything possible so that we could be able to retain that talent, that brain, which has been draining all these years. The 64% of our youth doesn't want to come back to the valley. So our biggest asset is our young, vibrant population.
Mr. Valek?
Clearly, it's our people and our hardworking entrepreneurial spirit. We're in a prime position here in McAllen for success into the future. We've got a young, dynamic, bilingual workforce. There's no reason the city of McAllen should be averaging per capita income 40% lower than the rest of the state. With the new USMCA treaty that replaced NAFTA and requires so much more of a higher product composition made in the U.S., with the requirements for the just-in-time manufacturing sector, and the challenges that have been revealed through worldwide manufacturing supply chains and the time it takes to get from China and elsewhere, we're on the border. We should be able to recruit new companies to set up factories, manufacturing systems, logistics centers, warehousing, to service the entire central part of the United States, but also because we're right on the border, to be able to take advantage of Mexico, Central America, and the South American markets. We are poised for success here in McAllen.
Mr. Villalobos?
I think one of the most important assets we have is government stability. Because with government stability, everything they mentioned will fall into place. Here in McAllen, we have great engineering department, legal department, and then when we have elected officials, unlike some of the areas around where somebody comes in, they want to change somebody, they want to get rid of the city manager, they want to get engineers, this does not happen in McAllen. McAllen is stable. So think about it, review it, research it, look in the news, the newspaper, you don't hear about McAllen having issues with elected officials. And that stability is fantastic. It allows everything they're talking about to fall into place.
Thank you so much. Next question goes to Veronica, and this is actually our last question. What is the greatest need our city faces?
Traffic. We've done 2 traffic studies, and we try consistently to improve our traffic. We've tried to synchronize the lights from north to south, east to west, and every time we do it, our traffic it grows. It's constant and it grows daily, and so I guess, again, we're going to have to do another traffic study, and we've already done right turn lanes, left turn lanes in order for, if you're behind a person who's going to turn right, but now you have the opportunity to turn right and not have to sit behind someone because you can turn out right automatically or left. So it is very difficult. I think really right now, traffic is what we have to deal with the most, and what most people give us grief about. The second one that they give us grief about, of course, is flooding. But we've already done 38, we are working on 38 drainage projects as we speak, and did 23 drainage projects last year. And so we are improving it daily for flooding purposes, and so that we don't have those hiccups during a rainstorm or during, of course, a hurricane or whatever. So those, I think, are the two, but I think traffic is number one. Thank you.
Dr. Rashid?
It is very interesting to know that, they have been in the office for such a long time. The traffic is still a problem. The flooding is still a problem. And they had all the opportunities to fix it, and I don't know how they could be able to fix it in the next 4 years. So what we are facing, the major problem is that which our city is facing is the unemployment and the poverty, and that breeds everything. Not only that the chronic conditions that it's mentioned to you, the obesity, diabetes, and all those related the conditions, but it also affects the quality of life. And we have to take the measures that how we could be able to eliminate that or reduce the poverty and reduce the unemployment, and how we could be able to keep our youth here in this valley. So these are the issues we have to focus on. If they are not, if we do not become a prosperous city, we will not be able to have all those the issues which we are facing right now.
Mr. Fallick?
The biggest challenge is infrastructure, but infrastructure taken broadly. It means not only continuing to focus on the drainage needs and improvements, not only the roads, expanding east-west thoroughfares, which haven't received the same amount of attention as north-south. It means the synchronization of lights. It means working with our federal partners, our state partners, to increase funding for our international bridges, which have been so far underfunded compared to other communities around the border. We need to increase that capacity to move cross-border traffic more easily, to bring more money into our city. It means Wi-Fi connectivity so that all areas of the city are able to access that vital need as efficiently as other areas of our city. And it means collaborating with our schools, laying the frameworks that our schools have enough guidance, enough money, enough support with interlocal agreements that they can collaborate, we can collaborate with them for the opportunities of our youth.
Mr. Villalobos?
A couple of years ago, I'd say maybe flooding, but we've taken care of a lot of the issues, like Veronica said, from 2,800 homes that flooded in 2018 to about 200 with Hurricane Hannah, and about 40 of those homes were there in Ware Ridge because of an issue with the Parkway Road and construction. We're hopefully taking care of that within a few weeks. But anyway, I agree, it's going to be traffic congestion, but look, Veronica's been there 8 years, she hasn't done it, and you know what, she can be there in 20 years, and she's not going to be able to do it, because it has to be done gradually, little by little. If you want to do it all at the same time, guess what you have to do? Raise taxes to each and every one of you. Because in order to do infrastructure, you need a lot of money. So that's why it's done, little by little, steps. You might say baby steps, but unless you want your taxes raised, it has to take time. The South needs a lot of help, a lot more than the North. We could do eminent domain, widen the roads, but what does that mean? We have to pay for the property. And who pays for it? The taxpayers.
Mr. Brand?
I don't disagree with one thing any of the four of them have said as far as the things that we need. But I'll tell you what it is to be mayor is to prioritize, and when you make a budget, you prioritize. The traffic is something that touches every one of us directly right now. And it has, we came up 4 years ago in the campaign, it needed to be addressed. We passed the bond issue, it's still not been resolved. We've been told it was going to be resolved within a couple of years. We're here, it's not done. Drainage. Now, I appreciate very much what the city has done in the 23 projects they did last year, the 38 you've got going on right now. And I talked to some of the other commissioners as well for a more objective opinion. And I asked them about fire, I asked them about police. How many new fire stations you got going up? Maybe one in Tres Lagos here pretty soon. How about police stations? maybe a substation in the south side, maybe. What that tells me is you got it taken care of. But when you tell me you got 23 projects last year and 38 this, that means you're playing catch-up, because we know there's a lot to do. The hurricanes he's talking about, those are 12 to 15 to 18 inches. The one you need to be aware of is the one like Beulah that's 25 to 30, that even with all the drainage they've done now, would still wipe the city out.
Thank you all. Can we get a round of applause for the candidates? Well, that concludes this policy forum with the candidates for the Mayor of McAllen. I did want to thank you all for joining us. Those who are streaming online, thank you as well. Early voting is happening now, ends April 27th. Election day is May 1st. And lastly, I do want to thank Pastor Eli Lara and New Life Family Church for hosting us here today. If you want to hang out, those who are here, you can. You can also go to Hebrews Cafe, which is in the lobby of New Life. Thank you all.
Can we get a picture, you guys?
And Michael, I hate